Hello everyone, this is T and today I will present to you my makeup designs for Divine Narcissus. The first character that I choose is Zeal. His age adjective is aggressive, arrogant, violent, rigid, energetic, impulsive, impatient, and passionate. I associate him with the color red and black and the elements of fire. Because Zil is described as a Spanish conquistador, so I based his first design on the real historical figures of the time, especially Hernan Cortez, because he was the Spanish conquistador who conquered the Aztec Empire. I also looked at other well-known conquistador in history, so I can have a look at a general appearance of how a conquistador would look like, and my main material was painting of that time period, which is the late 15th century. The general look of this time period for a conquistador are wide forehead, strong nose, square jaw, and pretty much a taut face. I also noticed that in the paintings, the facial expression of this man was rather stern, somewhat a grim look, which probably represent the role as a conquistador, who is someone involved very much in fighting and war. For Zeal design number one, I want to create a character who look rather stern, someone who ready to go for action. He had a square forehead, square jaw, very prominent eyebrows, but very neat, just like we saw in the painting, a prominent nose, a little sunken eyes, as well as the signature mustache of the conquistadors. For Zeal design number two, I aim for something more dramatic, more comical. So besides looking at the historical figures of the late 15th century, I also look at the man fashion and general look of the time period when the play was written, which were the late 17th century. And I find the image of a lavish conquistador would look very interesting, and that reminds me a lot of Captain Hook in Peter Pan, who cares a lot about his look. He can be very extravagant and very ill-tempered, but also a fierce fighter at the same time, and of course, a very effective comical relief. For Zeal design number two, I chose the Restoration era pale white skin look, which will contrast very well with the reddish eyebrow and mustache that I gave him, because I want him to be dramatic and more comical in the second design. I gave the eyebrow a very high arch and mustache also curved upward. I also gave him two beauty patches, which were the idea I had when I designed for religion. The patch near the eye mean the passionate, and the one on the cheek mean the gallant, the gentleman, because he very devoted to his lady. The second character that I chose from the play is Religion. Her 8 adjectives are flexible, manipulative, reasonable, oversensitive, dramatic, sympathetic, patient, and condescending. I associate her with the colors white, gray, and black, and the element of water. For religion design number one, I once again look at the historical figures of the late 15th century, including Queen Isabella I of Spain. The main material I looked at was painting, and that we can see the feminine look of the time were very pale white skin and rosy cheek, but the rosiness spread around the cheek and a little bit more at the front rather than just on the cheekbones. The eye makeup was minimal with very light and thin eyebrow, very soft looking eye with just a very tiny amount of shadow. Everybody seemed to have a little bit of eye bags. And one interesting thing is that when we really look at the painting, we barely see the eyelashes were depicted at all. For this design, I apply all the details of the late 15th century feminine look that I just described. And I want to use very soft, very natural color because the character is religion. She's supposed to look pretty modest, angelic, and ethereal in a way. From a comical point of view, I also think that because the character behaves so dramatic in the script, it'd be really funny if she had such a soft, gentle look, but her behavior would drive people crazy. Besides, she would be a great contrast with Zio Design number 1 because they are a pair, and I would like to show her as the opposite of Zio. Just like Zio number 2, the second design of religion was based on the Restoration era. And once again, I looked at the old painting, especially those of Marie Louise, the Queen of Spain at the time. And I noticed that in the late 17th century in Spain, people used darker color and more simple makeup look than in France and in England, even though we still have the same powder white skin and red lips. We also see more eye makeup, with the eyebrow usually match the hair or the wig. In this painting, we can see brownish or gray and pink eyeshadow and the wide open, somewhat elongated eye shape, and of course the beauty patches. For this design, once again, I want to emphasize that Zeal and Religion are a couple in the play. And for Zeal design number 2, I made him a little comical, so Religion will look a little bit more serious. The same principle with pale skin, rosy cheek, red lips, and beauty patches. Through my research, I also found out that the beauty patches of these eras have different shapes, including the cross. So I give her one right on the forehead, which is the position of the majesty to represent her high status. And on the cheek, we have the moon and the star because religion represents the very heightened celestial idea about God. And the beauty patches on the cheeks are the gallant, the gentlewoman position because she is the Spanish lady. The last character that I chose is Music, the party girl. Her 8 adjectives are carefree, friendly, fun, peaceful, vibrant, naive, oblivious, and consolatory. I associate her with the colors yellow, orange, blue, and the element of air. The design number 1 for Music is based on the traditional makeup of Aztec women and some inspiration from the Aztec god of music, who we will talk about in detail in the design number 2. Based on what I found, Aztec women don't wear makeup in their daily life, but in festive event or in ceremony, they will wear yellow color made from clay as their foundation, red lips, and maybe eyeliner from natural ingredients. And apparently they don't wear heavy face paint like men do. So I looked at the Aztec artifacts and artwork for some simple patterns that I can incorporate in my design. For this look, I have a bright yellow skin tone and some intricate detail for the eyeliner. The decoration details are the flower pattern that I found in Aztec artwork and artifacts. Traditionally, Aztec women like to use black, white, and red paints on their body as decoration as well, so I use those colors and pattern in my design. Beside the face paint, I keep the rest of the look very natural and simple because the Aztec prefer an ordinary beauty and a simplicity in the women. In the second design for music, I still use the same inspiration from the Aztec god of music, Coyote, which means the old coyote. And the Aztec artwork that I show here is a more animalistic portrait of this god. However, I don't aim for an animal makeup, but rather adding a little animalistic essence into the makeup. As we have the strong thick line from the artwork, as well as the teeth and the circle motif, I would use those patterns into the design. As I look into the Aztec mythology, I found one interesting point about Coyote is that this god is believed to be bisexual. So beside the yellow tint foundation and red lips, I also add more heavy face paint and thicker line to create the illusion of a squarer face and a more sharp, more masculine look. And as we can see here, beside the teeth, the line, and the circle motif in the artwork, I add in elongated eye shape and an illusion of a snout using stylized pattern to create the animalistic essence so that when being looked from far away, this design will create an ambiguous, dualistic kind of image between a man and a woman, a human being, and an animal. Now that we have reached the end of my presentation, thank you very much for listening. Bye!